The Brave Prince. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a little prince. He was born to a royal family, but he was not like the other princes. He was very small, no bigger than a cricket, but his heart was as big as the kingdom he would one day rule. The little prince lived in a beautiful palace surrounded by gardens and fountains. He spent his days playing with his toys, riding on the backs of snails and talking to the animals in the palace gardens. One day, while the little prince was playing in the garden, he heard a beautiful singing voice. He looked around and saw a tiny fairy sitting on a flower. The fairy was as small as he was, and she had a beautiful voice that filled the garden. The little prince asked the fairy who she was and where she came from. The fairy told him that she was from a magical kingdom that was hidden deep in the forest. She said that her people were in trouble, and they needed the little prince's help. The little prince knew he had to help the fairy and her people, so he set out on a journey through the forest. He rode on the back of a butterfly, and they flew over the treetops and through the clouds. As they flew, they encountered all sorts of obstacles. They had to navigate through a maze of thorns, cross a raging river, and outsmart a pack of mischievous pixies. But the little prince was determined to help the fairy and her people, so he persevered through every challenge. Finally, they arrived at the magical kingdom. The little prince was amazed at what he saw. The kingdom was made entirely of flowers, and the fairies who lived there were busy tending to their gardens and singing songs. But the little prince soon learned that the kingdom was in danger. A wicked witch had cast a spell over the land, causing all the flowers to wilt and the fairies to lose their voices. The little prince knew he had to act fast to save the kingdom. He came up with a plan. He would use his tiny size to sneak into the witch's lair and steal the magic wand that she used to cast her spells. With the help of the fairy and her friends, he snuck into the lair and managed to steal the wand. With the wand in hand, the little prince raced back to the magical kingdom. He used the wand to break the spell and restore the flowers to their former beauty. The fairies' voices returned, and the kingdom was saved. The little prince was hailed as a hero. The fairies threw a grand feast in his honor, and they sang songs and danced all night long. The little prince was happy that he could help, but he was also sad to leave his new friends behind. As he made his way back to his palace, the little prince realized that even though he was small, he could still do great things. He knew that he would always be there to help those in need, no matter how big or small the problem may be. From that day on, the little prince lived his life with a newfound purpose. He ruled his kingdom with kindness and compassion, and he never forgot the lessons he learned on his journey to the magical kingdom. And whenever he heard a singing voice in the wind, he smiled, knowing that it was his fairy. The end.